questions about marketing. You know, everybody seems to be a great producer. They know how to produce. They know how to grow. But boy, when it comes to marketing and selling, they ain't got a clue, you know. And that's been one of the biggest comments that we have received in the last 2 years in our summits. So this morning, Alan's going to take a stab at it, and I know he'll do a great job.
Good morning, guys. All right, so like Mike said, most farmers and ranchers, we're good at producing, but the vast majority of us are not very good at marketing at all. And marketing is not carrying your calves down to the local auction barn. Marketing is not carrying your grain to the local elevator. You know, that's not marketing, that's selling. That's selling, and that's price taking. So what I hope to do this morning is to help empower you to be able to change from being a price taker to a price maker. That's what we really want to be, and that's what we need to be successful in agriculture. And oh, by the way, when we do that, we are also significantly influencing the consumer. So again, today in the U.S., what percentage of our population now lives on a farm or a ranch?
3, 5?
Less than 1%.
Really?
Less than 1%. Okay? Now, I'm not counting the ranchettes. Less than 1%. So that means 99% of the population, you know, they don't really know where their food comes from, how it's grown, how it's raised, what it takes to get it done. Okay? And unfortunately, among that 1%, do you know how many ranchers in the U.S. never eat their own beef? A bunch of them never eat their own beef. Now, if you ask them, how good is your, oh, it's really good. My cattle marble very well. Well, how do you know that? You've never slaughtered one of your own animals to eat. And do you know that the average row crop farmer eats nothing grown on their farm? They grow corn and beans, and that's sold to the elevator. And unfortunately, even most row crop farmers don't even plant their own gardens anymore. And it's sort of hard to plant a garden when you got 30 row planters, and you know, the equipment you running through a row crop field don't exactly work well for a garden, does it? So farmers and ranchers themselves have become disconnected from their food. Okay? So not only do we have 99% of the consumer population that has become disconnected from their food, but we've got actual farmers and ranchers disconnected from their food. So we got a huge job in front of us, folks, in this education. So, all right. So I want to talk today about disrupting the marketing paradigm. And how do we do that? How do we effectively accomplish that? So we are in a trust-based business. And we have to understand that if we're selling food, we're in a trust-based business. And here's the reality of today's world with most of the consumer population, is when they hear corporate, industrial, or profit motivated, they see all of this as suspect. Suspect, okay? There is a significant disconnect between consumers and the source of their food. Now, what we have found, and I'm going to show you examples of this and talk a lot more about it as we go through the session this morning, but what we have found is that when we get these consumers out to the farm, then they really catch on quick. And I'll be honest with you. So we do lots and lots of workshops for farmers and ranchers, right? And soil health academies and all of that other kind of stuff. So every single week, our company is educating farmers and ranchers. But when we educate consumers, they catch on and get it a lot quicker than the farmers and ranchers do. Now, why is that?
Because they don't have preconceived ideas.
That's right. Because the consumer doesn't have the compaction up here yet. Okay? So they do catch on a lot quicker. And what do you think is the first question those consumers ask us when they see what we're doing, how we're doing it? And we do everything with them we do with you. We do the shovel test. We look at diversity and all of this. What do you think is the first question they ask? Those are asked, but they're not the first. The first is, why don't all farmers do it this way? That's the first question they ask us. Okay? So consumers lack access to and understanding of agriculture. We've got to change that. Okay? We've got to change that by having people back out on our farms. But do you know how many conventional farmers do not want and don't even allow the consuming public to ever step foot on their farms? They're scared to death of them. And what's the number one thing they cite is the reason to keep consumers off their farm? Biosecurity. That's right. Well, I can't let you on the farm because we're a biosecure farm. You know? But most commodity dairies are absolutely petrified of letting a consumer come on their farm. And many other areas of agriculture are terrified of having consumers come on their farm. We have consumers every week of the year on our farm. That's how you change minds. That's how you get things done. The Center for Food Integrity, a survey, very recent survey, states that 65% of consumers want to know. A survey done in 2019. So here's another CFI survey done in 2019. The top 10 trusted to ensure safe food. Now, this all, I look at this and I see, boy, the consumer, they're really grasping at straws here. For some of these, they list in the top 10 if they think they trust them for accurate information about food. But you can see family farmers and ranchers are number 3. Okay? So authenticity matters. Authenticity matters. Consumers value family. So they want to see family farms, family ranches. They want pictures and video. And I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit and how to do that well. We have to tell our story, okay? This is of utmost importance, telling your story. You've got to hone that craft of being able to tell your story and tell it well. And guess what? Nobody can tell it as good as you can because it's your story, okay? Look for all possible ways to connect. And again, I'm going to give you examples of how to practically do all of these things. Many current farmers and ranchers fear transparency, just like what I talked about earlier. They don't want consuming public on their farms or ranches. But transparency should be what we are all about. Every moment, every day. Transparency. If we don't do a good job of telling our story, then guess what? Somebody else is going to tell it for us, and we probably won't like how they tell it. Okay? So it is our responsibility to tell our story. So here's what's happening out there in the food industry. Fear-based selling. Fear-based selling. We see it every day, in the headlines every day, in the research every day. Fear-based selling. How do we see that? We see that in things from free from labels. Okay? See, the data I presented yesterday, instead of saying it's free from this, free from that, I don't use this, I don't use that, I want to be able to say, here is what I do, here's why it matters, and here's the data that backs up the phytonutrient claims. That's what I want to say. The other thing, we see things like no GMOs, no antibiotics, no hormones, no chemicals, gluten-free, We could keep going on. And you see this on labels all the time now, right? Yeah. Go to the grocery store, go anywhere, and you see multiple claims of no this, no that, or free from that, or free from this, right? So what we want to do, this type of marketing relies on fear and encourages misinformation. And that was heavily documented by a study from the Avant-Garde Institute. Today's buying culture, though, is intertwined with our values, perceptions, our body image, the way we want to be seen. That's how a lot of consumers are thinking today, and we need to take advantage of that because we have a product and products that we can take advantage of in a truthful, transparent way. Many consumers are now relating food to their physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual well-being. And COVID actually was a blessing in that regard, exactly. COVID opened the eyes of a lot of consumers. And now they are still headed down that same path in terms of they want real foods that they can trust. So there's a growing emphasis with consumers that they care about things like the environment. And again, the word climate change, whatever we think that really is, but they hear it all the time, so they care about it, right? Animal welfare, food safety, water quality, wildlife, birds, pollinator populations. And I'm going to tell you, folks, these things right here, those last 4 or 5 things, that gets them. When people come out to our farms and they see a lot more insects and they see butterflies and wild pollinators everywhere and they see all types of birds everywhere, that immediately resonates with them no matter who they are. There's not a consumer out there that doesn't like birds and butterflies. Okay? So they want foods that they deem sustainable. Now, I hate that word. Okay? I absolutely despise that word sustainable. Number one, what in the world does it mean? What in the heck does sustainable really mean? And number two, it's impossible. There's no such thing as stasis in biology and in nature. Do every one of you get a day older every day? Okay? Unless we're in the grave, right? Okay? So there's no stasis in us. We don't stay the same from day to day. Nothing out there that we deal with stays the same from day to day. Sustain means stasis. That doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. You're either going forward or you're going backwards. There's no in between. Okay, so again, I despise that word, but a lot of consumers have heard it over and over, so we just sort of go with it, roll with it. All right? We want to take it to the next level, though, with regenerative and help them understand we're not sustaining things. We're repairing, rebuilding, revitalizing, and restoring things. That's what we're doing. So they want foods that are positive for the mind, body, and environment. So what should we focus on then? Okay, so let's sort of dive into some very practical things that we need to be thinking about and we need to be doing. So we need transparency in our interactions with our customers. That absolutely matters, and I can tell you from I've been doing this for more than 30 years now and interacting directly with a consumer. And I still do it now, every chance I get. You know, when we do farmers market, our folks are doing farmers markets every week on and all this kind of stuff. And every chance I get, I'm going to be there as well because I love interacting with the consumer. Because when you can show them these types of things and explain this to them, it resonates, and you got them. You got them at that point. Consumers want to hear from the farmers and ranchers who produce their food. That's who they ultimately trust. And they do ask us, like if we're at a farmer's market or something, is this from your farm? Yep. They ask that because they've already become wise to the fact that unfortunately there's a lot of people at farmers markets, they didn't produce the food, they bought it somewhere else and they're just a reseller. Okay? So the consumer actually asks that question. So we have to incorporate our story, our attributes, our brand into everything. This matters. How do we do that? Well, a whole host of ways, okay? So we do it through our websites. So, each farm, so again, a farm in Alabama, a farm in Mississippi, each one has its own website. And we're constantly, renovating and making these sites better and better. You want really good pictures, really good video. Again, I'll talk more about that in a moment. Social media is critically important. Now, folks, I don't like social media, okay? And from a personal perspective, the only social media platform you find me on is LinkedIn, and that's it. And I'm not a frequent poster there at all, by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't do, personally, all these other social media. But do our farms do it? Does Understanding Ag do it? Does the Soil Health Academy do it? Does Regenified do it? Oh, yeah, we do. Okay? Because you have to. You have to be on these platforms in today's world. So social media is critically important. And I'm going to talk more later about how to use that responsibly and well. Because that can either make you or break you. Okay? Packaging matters. In this afternoon's session, that's part of what I'm going to talk about relative to processing. POS materials, that's point-of-sale materials, if you're not familiar with that term. POS materials, point-of-sale materials. So your brochures, your flyers, your packaging one-pagers, all of these types of things need to be very, very well done. Don't look amateurish. There's no reason in today's world for any of us to look amateurish in what we're doing, okay? All the technology's there, everything's there and readily accessible so that we can produce very high-quality POS materials and print out very high-quality POS materials. So we have on every single thing that we have, whether it's our refrigerated Sprinter vans, whether it's our trailers, whether it's our banners, even the grills that we're using, everything has our brand on it, our name on it. Okay? So everywhere you go, you want them seeing, BDA Farm or Ada Hills Farm, your farm. Okay? All right. So here's a list of quite a few things that consumers really want in their food. They want healthy, absolutely. They want clean labels. Now, what does that mean? When I say clean labels, what are we talking about?
They can understand them.
Okay, they want labels that they can understand, that are not cluttered, that are impactful. Okay? They want food safety. They want climate friendly, and again, whatever that means. They want animal welfare, no hormones, antibiotics, more and more asking for GM-free, transparency, honest claims, and impacts that, because when people buy anything from us, whether it's that's what we offer. Because when people buy anything from us, whether it's a dozen eggs, whether it's grass-fed beef, grass-fed lamb, pastured pork, our vegetables, whatever it may be, they know that they're buying something more than just the food they're putting in their bodies. They are also buying ecosystem health, environmental health.
Well, they're participating.
They are participating, exactly. Exactly. They like all of that, okay? They like the fact that their food dollar is going to something greater than just that food item itself. That resonates with them. What are they concerned about? Well, here's the things that we hear over and over right now, okay? So, again, climate, the weather, and they're really meaning the weather, right? Well, boy, it seems to be, when it rains, it seems to rain harder and longer, or, when it's dry, it seems to be drouthier, or whatever. So they're worried about the weather. They're worried about, we hear all the time about water availability. There's consumers getting scared about water, okay? They're worried about mRNA vaccines. I mentioned this the other day. This is a legitimate concern of theirs, and we hear it all the time. And again, as I said the other day, they have told us loud and clear, no mRNA vaccines used in your livestock. If you're using these, we are not going to buy from you. Okay? They're telling us no GMOs. They're concerned about gene editing. Yes?
How significant a push do you see for no vaccines at all?
So that has not been a big push yet, okay? But what has been the push is the mRNA. Yeah. Are there some consumers that say we would really prefer no vaccines? Yes. But has that become the majority of them yet that we deal with? No.
We've seen a huge uptick, but we're also connected to very fringe crowd.
Right. Exactly. They're getting very, very concerned about gene editing. And for those of y'all that aren't aware, they're even doing gene editing on soil microbes now. Yep. So, do what? Because they can't help themselves. That's why. And because there's millions and millions of dollars in research funding to do it. I mean, you want me to answer it honestly? Okay? So, they're concerned about foods they can trust that are healthy and ecosystem diversity. All right, let's look at the true cost of food. When people say, Alan, I can't afford your $8 a pound grass-fed ground beef, okay? Or I can't afford the price on your dozen eggs, or I can't afford the price on your pastured pork, or whatever. Really? You can't? Well, let's talk about that. This absolutely resonates with the consumer. They have no clue because, again, the consumer is buying everything. Most of the things they buy in the grocery store, they're buying by the package, not by the pound, right? The only thing in the grocery store that you're required to put a per pound price on is what? Meats, okay? So they're used to buying meat by the pound because that's mandatory in the stores, but they're not used to buying anything else priced by the pound. They just pick up the package. Oh, it's this price per package. But the only way we know the true cost of our food is to put everything on the same pricing basis, and that has to be on a per pound basis, okay? So what are some of the common items that people buy all the time? What do they really cost you per pound? I think a lot of these are going to surprise you, okay? Frosted Flakes, $5.37 a pound. Now, I'm sorry, but Frosted Flakes are worth $5.37 a pound? Really? Wow. Raisin Bran, $6.25 a pound. Cheerios, $7.99 a pound. They could buy my ground beef. They could buy my pastured pork sausage, a dozen of our eggs. Okay, and eat a far healthier breakfast. Now, what about all these snack foods? Dorito nachos. Okay, $9.52 a pound. Wow. Did y'all know what those bags of potato chips and all of that really cost you? Lay's Classic potato chips, $8.40 a pound. Ruffles cheddar and sour cream potato chips, $12 a pound. Wow. American cheese singles, $10 a pound. Colby Jack slices, $8.53 a pound. Deli meats, Applegate Black Forest ham, $17.84 a pound. Boar's Head salami, $24 a pound. Simple Truth chicken breast. Whose store brand is that? Kroger. They have the Simple Truth. Simple Truth chicken breast, $22 a pound. Jack's Link jerky. Now, what all these jerkies and beef sticks and all the convenience stores and truck stops and all of that really costing you on a per pound basis? Jack's Link jerky, $32 a pound. You can buy my filet mignon for less than that, folks. And which would you rather eat? Okay? Slim Jims, $33, $8 a pound. Panko Applewood jerky, $58 a pound. And you can find that in almost every truck stop. What about fast food? What's the true cost of fast food when you put it on a per pound basis? So what are you really paying for that quarter pounder, or that Chick-fil-A sandwich, or that Taco Bell taco? Okay? A quarter pounder, you're really paying $15.52 a pound for that ground beef. You buy mine for half that price. Okay? And you know where mine came from and how it was produced and raised. McChicken, over $22 a pound for the chicken. Chick-fil-A sandwich, $16.57 a pound. Taco Bell taco, $20 a pound. How many of you have eaten Taco Bell tacos? I call it a very different name, okay? I call it Taco Hell, but anyway. But have you seen the meat-like substance inside of those? And that's what I call it, a meat-like substance. That's $20 a pound, okay? Chicken nuggets that a lot of kids get fed. Chicken nuggets, $50 a pound. And then the Impossible Whopper, okay? You wanna go fake meat, okay? The Impossible Whopper, boy, this is really affordable, okay? $35 a pound. So what is the real cost of our food, folks? And consumers can't afford regenerative food? Really?
We just have to make it convenient.
That's easy. It's not hard. Okay? So this, guys, when we inform our consumers on things like this, it's really eye-opening. Really eye-opening. And they respond to this. Digital influence. Okay, so we got to determine our digital marketing strategy. Far more consumers are now rely on product reviews. Do you know that YouTube is now the third largest search engine in the world? Okay, so we're using YouTube more and more. There's influencers now, and they even have names for them, everywhere from a celebrity influencer, meaning they have 1 million or more followers, to the macro and micro influencers, to the nano influencers, which means you're influencing 1,000 to 10,000 people. But do you know that nano influencers actually have the highest level of engagement from the people that they engage with? We can all be nano influencers. We don't have to be the macro and the celebrity influencers at all. All we got to be is a nano influencer. How many customers does it really take for you to be highly successful as a direct marketer? How many? Okay. Yeah, it can be less than 100. All right? 200 customers, you are golden. You are golden. That's all you need that buy every month from you. Okay? You're golden. So it doesn't take a bunch of people. All right? So nano influencers have the highest level of engagement. They know their subject the best. They are regarded as knowledge leaders, and that's what you have to become. You have to become the knowledge leader. And you can also have more frequent, more intimate conversations. Okay? So who do we need to be targeting? Well, the most coveted consumer group is the 18 to 34-year-old group, by far. Why? That's right. They're going to live a lot longer, hopefully, and then they're going to have kids and raise families. And then you're hoping they're going to feed their kids this same way as well, right? So they're a long-term customer, and then they grow your customer base by targeting this sector. You know, one of the things that I've noted, one of the farmers markets we do is the Starkville, Mississippi Farmers Market, which is where Mississippi State University is located. And we actually have a lot of students every Saturday that come through that farmers market. And these are students, okay? And these students will stop and buy our products. Now, one of the things that we do is every farmers market, we sample. We got a grill going, and we're sampling, we're putting food in people's mouths. That matters. If you're going to sell food, the number one way, and I'll reiterate this later, the number one way to sell food is put it in their mouths. So we don't even tell them about it first. So as they're walking by, that's the other thing. When our folks are working the farmer's market, they're not sitting there like a bump on a log, okay, just waiting for people to come to them. That's a terrible way to sell. They are active. They're out in front. They're not sitting back behind a table in their chairs. They are out in front of the booth, and they are greeting everybody that walks by. Good morning, how are you today? And then, hey, would you like a sample today? And that's all they say. They don't say, would you like a sample of regeneratively produced, grass-fed, no hormone, no antibiotic, da-da-da-da-da-da-da beef. Okay? No, they just simply say, would you like to taste a sample of what we're cooking up today? And of course, they can smell the aroma, right? And even when they first taste it, all we tell them is, this is our pork, this is our bacon, this is our kielbasa, this is our ground beef or whatever. So we still don't tell them anything about it. We put it in their mouths and they go, oh, you can tell immediately. They don't have to say anything. The look on their faces says it all, right? But when they go like this, we got them, and they go, wow, this is really good. Now they've opened the door. Now we say, yeah, it is, isn't it? We say, oh, by the way, we produce this on our own farm. We do it regeneratively, and here's how we do it. Then they're willing to listen, okay? Now you got somebody listening, so always sample. And then when we do that, do you know that more than 80% of the people that eat your sample buy something at that point? Wow. Okay. So again, how do we tell our story? Okay? So we tell, what do we do on the land? Why is it important? Who are we? What do we do in a normal day? They actually want to know. What's life like on a farm? What are you doing every day? Okay? So what do we do? What makes us interesting? What makes us human? Okay? Humor works. Telling funny stories about things that happened on the farm. Okay, that really resonates with people. Or telling adventures on the farm. That really resonates with people. So share your real stories with them. Again, authenticity is so important. Okay, so again, be transparent, be real. Consumers can be very skeptical. And again, we see it at the farmer's market. Okay, and wherever we're in direct contact with the consumer, initially, you do see some skepticism out of a lot of them, like, okay. But then again, when you put it in their mouth, and then you tell your story, and we have those scroll-up banners, that we also tell our story using those through pictures and words and all of that. So we aren't just speaking for our farm, but our industry and for food in general, and we have to realize that, and we're not too small to impact the market. Now here's the other deal. Don't try to tell them everything you think you know, okay? Preach less and listen more. Preach less and listen more. With some of us, that takes practice. And sometimes it may even take putting some duct tape over our mouth, okay? But preach less and listen more, and respond with kindness and compassion. Respond with kindness and compassion. That really resonates with them. Share images and videos that are empathetic to our target customers. Trust and flexibility are really important. And learn what keywords bring people to your website. What are they searching? What are they typing in? Okay? You got to learn that so that you can make darn sure that all of those keywords are represented multiple times in your website, because that's how search engines work, right? SEO, everybody familiar with that, search engine optimization. So we got to find those keywords and then link to other brands and content. That also helps them find you easier and makes you show up a lot sooner, okay, in a organic search. And write routine blogs, articles, do short videos, all of those types of things. So what matters? Packaging and appearance are very important. I'll I'll show you examples of that in this afternoon's session. Clarity is important. And I'll talk this afternoon about that in terms of portion sizing and all of this. You don't want to sell 8 different portion sizes of ribeyes. Okay? It doesn't work. And you don't want your processor doing that for you, which often happens if you're not integrally involved. So this afternoon I'm going to talk about how can you be integrally engaged with your processor and make sure they're doing things the way they need to be doing to make sure you can optimize your sales. And the best way to sell food, put it in their mouths. Also, give them meal solution ideas. You said earlier, make it convenient, okay? Give them meal solution ideas. We got to do that for them, and we do that. So we offer them whole meal options, recipes, novel items. We teach them how to be competent cooks and how to, if they're busy and both parents work and all of this other stuff, and they want to be able to fix a dinner in under 30 minutes when they come home. We teach them how they can do that with our products to make it really easy. And again, a majority of food buyers are still women. That's still the case, okay? So we got to know how to resonate with women. It matters. So we do a lot of marketing to restaurants as well, and when we're participating in food shows and that kind of thing, well, it's got to look good. It's got to look good. Okay, you got to have excellent presentation. So who all do we market to? Well, we market to restaurants, select distributors through e-commerce, CSAs, and I'll share some other ways in a moment. Our number one goal is this: to generate as much revenue per acre as we possibly can. That is absolutely critical to us, as much revenue per acre as we possibly can. Every acre, every year, should generate multiple revenue streams, not just one. So answer this question for me. Where and how do we come to the conclusion as farmers and ranchers that any 1 acre can only produce 1 crop or 1 food a year? How did we arrive at that? That if I'm a corn and soybean farmer, I can only grow corn for the entire year on that given acre and that's it. Or I can only grow beans and that's the sole revenue source for that acre for the entire year. Why did we come to that conclusion? Or if you're a dairy farmer, you can only have dairy cows. And that's all you can do. You can't have any other revenue streams. How do we come to these conclusions? Yeah. And the way the industry's told us to do it. Okay? Because that's what's more efficient, right? To focus on monoculture. That's efficient. Afraid not. Farms across North America, and we've done it on our own farm. On multiple farms across North America, and we've done it on our own farm. Do you know that our farm in Alabama, compared to all of our neighbors around us, which we have beef cattle farmers, we have row crop farmers, all of that around us, do you know that we produce an average of 11 times more food per acre than any other farm around us? 11 times more food per acre annually than all the row crop farmers around us, than all the beef cattle farmers around us.
Measured by dollars or pounds?
Measured by total volume of food we're producing per acre that people actually eat. Okay? So, and we're far exceeding them in dollars per acre. Far exceeding them in net profit per acre. Okay? So every acre needs to have multiple revenue streams a year, even our wooded acres. By golly, we've got all kinds of stuff in our wooded acres. They're not just woods. Okay, we got cattle in there, we got pigs in there, we got sheep in there, we got goats in there, we got chickens in there. Okay? We even do mushroom production in some of our woodland, and then we got, of course, timber harvest, and we've got recreational income and all of these types of things. So how do you do this? Well, multi-species of livestock, we do specialty grains, we do honey production, vegetable production, fruit and nut production, mushrooms, ginseng, turmeric, and other herbs. We do timber production, and we do a lot of recreational stuff, hunting, fishing, bird watching, agritourism, and so forth. There's a whole host of things that you can do to generate revenue. So we do a lot of farm days tours. okay? And when we do it upright. Presentation matters. It matters a lot. You know, how the food looks, the surroundings that we have them in at the farm. All of that matters. Yeah, so, and we do appetizers. We set them down to full meals. You know, when we have groups out, you know, they're out in the field all day, we'll do meals like this. We'll cook whole pigs, whole lambs, all of that, you know, and serve that. And man, do they love that kind of stuff. I mean, they just eat it up, literally and figuratively. Yeah, so again, now these little guys right here are jalapeno pepper poppers with cheese that we source from a regenerative dairy that's near us, and our pastured pork bacon. And you want to know those things that one just ain't enough and you can't stop eating them? Those things you can't stop eating. You'll bust your gut before you stop eating them. They are that good. So again, we show them everything. We do rainfall simulators as well. You know, a lot of different things that we do. We work with a lot of James Beard award-winning chefs, you know, and they are very good for getting the word out, you know, and helping us grow our direct-to-consumer customer base. So tips for selling your food, the number one thing, again, I said it earlier, put it in their mouth. Put it in their mouth. Much easier to sell when they're tasting it. So again, what do we sell and produce? Well, we do grass-fed beef, pastured pork, lamb, goat, poultry, eggs, honey. We've got more than 400 beehives out, vegetables and herbs, cut flour, specialty grains, even hides, things like that. So a lot of different items that we're marketing. So keys to successful marketing. You need to have somebody or somebodies dedicated to sales and marketing, okay? You can't produce, build paddocks, move cattle, feed chickens, gather eggs, whatever else, and do marketing and sales like effectively. You cannot. So you got to have somebody, whether it's family members or they're hired or whatever, but you got to have people that are actively marketing. This is important. We do have people on staff at both of our farms that is their full-time job every day. Sales and marketing, growing our business, interacting with our customers. And those people have to know how to clearly communicate your value proposition. They have to know what you do, okay, and know it well. You've also got to know your true cost of production. We got to know live animal production costs, crop production costs, harvesting and processing, further processing costs, packaging, labeling, cold storage, transport, delivery, sales and marketing cost. You got to know every bit of that. Now, we have developed decision calculators that have all of this on it that we'll gladly share with you, okay? And starting in November, we are starting very practical marketing and finance schools. So we're now going to be offering marketing and finance schools that are going to go deep into this. They're going to be 2-day schools. They're going to go very deep into this, and we're going to be offering them routinely. And what we are encouraging people to do that come to the schools is bring your own numbers for your own farms. And we're going to work with you on that. And how do you make the right decisions on your farms? And how do you determine your true cost of production? And the only way you know how to properly price the items you're selling is by knowing your true cost of production all the way through to that end product that you're selling. And then you've got to add an appropriate net margin on top of that. Never price your products by what Joe Brown down the road is selling his for, okay? Or what so-and-so at the farmer's market is selling theirs for, or by going on other people's websites and pricing it according to what they're selling for. I don't do that. I sell it for what I have to get for it, and I make zero apologies for it. None. Then it's my job and the job of our people to communicate the value proposition of why it's worth every penny. Okay? So that's the other thing. Never, ever, ever place yourself in a defensive position about price for your product. Always have yourself in an offensive position that my product is worth every single penny that I have it priced at.
Your presentation yesterday should take all doubt away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we use that. See, that's why I'm giving you all this stuff, to empower you as well, okay? We use that, and we use the true cost of food numbers. Because when you combine those two with the consumer, that blows their minds. And then they don't complain about your price anymore.
And what you're talking about is the nutritional value.
The nutritional value and the true cost of all these other foods, okay? The fast food, the packaged foods. So identify and focus on your core target market channel. You can't be everything to everybody, and don't even try. Again, how many customers did I say you need to be really well off?
Less than 100.
Okay, 200. Okay? Now, you can make a good living on less than 100. But to have 7-figure plus sales, 200. That's all you need. 200 is all you need, folks. Okay? So I don't need $1 million or $2 million or $5 million or $10 million. I don't even need 100,000. I don't need 50,000, guys. I need 200, 1,000, and you're golden. Okay? Every community everywhere can do that. Every community everywhere. Our farms are located in pretty darn rural areas. All right? Every community can do that. Train yourself and your sales staff on how to communicate to that target customer and deliver more to your customer than just selling them a product. That's important as well. Be the trusted knowledge leader, number one. Know what you're talking about. Because if you know what you're talking about, then that breeds confidence in you, right? And when you're confident, you're able to far better communicate this to your customers. Provide recipes, menu ideas, introduce new dishes, new concepts. Be transparent on your label claims and assertions. Have an open door policy. Host events like we do all the time. Educate them. Educate, and establish real relationships with your customers. Know their birthdays, know their anniversaries, know their kids' names, know how many kids they have, okay? Check on them routinely after the sale. Don't just sell them something, then forget them. Email them, call them up, text them, hey, how'd you like that bacon you bought the other day? You know, or how's things going with little Johnny, right? Always be willing and ready to respond to their questions and comments. And here's the deal, folks. If somebody responds to you with a problem, there's some kind of issue, never ignore it and never delay it. If it's a problem that they're responding with, you attack that immediately. Immediately. You respond to them immediately, and you respond not by email, not by text, not by social media. You give them a personal call. Okay? And you know what? No matter what the problem was, 99% of the time when you respond back that way and you say, sir, ma'am, we're on it and we've got this fixed right away. And by the way, whatever you bought is on us because we're going to make it right. No matter what the problem was, 9 times out of 10, you got a customer for life after you respond that way. Okay? Because they're not used to that at all. And when you respond that way, that resonates with them. Use social media and internet wisely. Never, ever, ever get into an argument with anybody via social media or email. Never. Okay? And whenever we hire somebody for Understanding Ag or Regenified, that's also a mandate to them. That's a fireable offense for us. You get into an argument with somebody via email or social media and your butt is gone, okay? You don't do that. That is, because you never win those arguments, guys, and you end up looking foolish. Okay? So never respond to them. Now, that doesn't mean I can't respond. How do you respond? Okay, here's the way you respond. First, you wait a little while. Okay? Then you write a blog or an article or you do a little video. And you address whatever the topic was, but you never bring that person's name up or refer to them in any way. Never give them credit in any way, shape, or form. Because that's what they're really looking for. Okay? So never even intimate that you even know about them or know they exist. But you address the problem without that. Okay? That works and that resonates with your customer, your consumer. All right? Be very savvy in the use of social media, or you hire somebody that is. Okay? Don't just do this blindly. That's why I'm not doing our social media, Greg. Okay? That's why I have other people do that. All right? Use it routinely, but be short, sweet, and to the point. In anything you post that's narrative, in anything, pictures, video, all of that. What are people's attention spans like today? That's it, right? Okay. Short, sweet, to the point. And videos, high quality. Pictures, high quality. If you're outside doing a video and it's windy that day, don't do the video then. Okay, where you're like, out here, the farm today, and they're hearing wind and everything else. That's aggravating to people. Okay? And oh, by the way, learn how to video well. All right? Get you a gimbal stick or whatever, but learn how to video well. And too many videos, you think you're doing okay, and you're panning across like this, right? And when somebody watches this, it's like, whoa. Okay? So you've got to be super slow, far slower. You got to be slow motion if you're panning across. Okay? So you got to learn how to do all of this. Be concise. Be concise. Less is more. Use bullet points rather than long paragraphs. And then it's few bullet points. Never more than 5 bullet points, and I prefer 3. Okay? But never more than 5 on any one topic. Lots of pictures, but again, high-res pictures and really good pictures. Okay? Logos, taglines, etc. should be developed with your customer in mind and not you. Okay? Your customer in mind and not you. Don't get hung up on you and your personal preferences. You're not marketing to you. Okay? You're marketing to your target customer. So how do we get product to our customers? Here's all the different ways we do it. Pick up at the farm. We got an in-town brick-and-mortar farm store, shipped to their front door. If they order off the website, we do home deliveries in select areas, CSAs, local food co-ops, farmers markets, and special events. We also do a lot of agritourism, do glamping. We've got Airbnb properties for people to stay at. Now, this property here is an old bank building on the town square that we bought, and downstairs here is our event center. Okay, so we set that up very nice, and we can do soil health academies or any kind of workshop or whatever in there, very high quality. And we put a commercial kitchen in here and all of that, so we also do a lot of meals here. And then upstairs, we convert it into Airbnb, okay, for people to stay. So this is a little old town of Marion, Alabama. There ain't nothing there, and we keep these Airbnb properties full. It's even hard. We have to pre-book ourselves when we want to use them, okay? Because they stay booked up in a little old nothing town. So it's amazing how much you can do in these properties. Other ways that we reach customers. We do spring and fall farm festivals, okay? We do on-farm workshops. We do nutritional workshops, regenerative, heritage, food preservation. There you go, sir. Okay. We do food foraging. Do you know how popular that's getting? So we take groups of people out, and those classes are 90% women almost always. Okay. But we take groups out onto the farm to do food foraging, find edible foods on the farm. Cooking classes, biodiversity classes, all of that. People pay you to do these workshops. Wow. Because they really want to learn. So we host a lot of special events, like a week or so ago, the screening of Roots So Deep. So we host special events every chance we get, and we always feed them at the special events. We fed them at the Roots So Deep screening. Again, never, ever, ever miss an opportunity to put your food in their mouth. Okay? So, you see this here? You see how simple that is? A hay bale playground. Do you know these urban and suburban kids go nuts over that? Even the big kids. All we do is put out round bales and square bales. And they just think that's the funnest thing they've ever done in life. I don't have to go rent inflatables and ball pits or anything else. We just sort of make our own. And another thing we do, we get a great big old tub and fill it full of corn, and that's their ball pit. It's a corn pit. And the little kids just love that. So the simple things you can do that are pretty cheap, that matter. So this is some of our food foragers here. At Farmers Market there in Starkville. Again, you can see our guys are out front. They're not back behind here. They're greeting customers, talking to customers right away, offering them samples. So thank you very much. Questions?
Liability on all the visiting and that sort of thing.
Okay, so we do carry liability insurance. That is important. Now, and I always hate saying this, you never want to jinx yourself, right? But we've never had a problem to date, okay? But yeah, it is imperative you carry good liability insurance, when you have people on your farm routinely. And we're careful about, making sure where they're at and, those types of things. Yeah. So very good question. Do carry good liability insurance. Yes.
Okay, so I know this is one of those words, but I'm going to ask you about it. What about biosecurity?
Biosecurity, again, we don't even worry about biosecurity because, first of all, these are consumers. They're not on farms, okay? And then secondly, because of the way we raise our animals and the diversity that they're eating from, they don't get sick.
But you do have farmers come with their farm boots, their farm trucks. You also have farmers.
Sure, I'm not worried about it.
You don't worry at all.
No, we don't. We don't. We don't make them put on special boots or booties or anything. It's just, they go right out with whatever we have, and we've never worried about it. We've never had a problem, okay? But again, why? Why do we not have a problem? The health of our livestock and the health of our soil and the diversity that they're eating from. Folks, animals and people don't get sick just because. We get sick because we have a depressed immune system, okay? That's why we get sick. So if we're not doing things to have a depressed immune system, you can be exposed to stuff and you're fine. You're fine.
Right.
So, but good question. Yes.
Were you ever in the hospital?
Have I ever been in the hospital? I think I was 11 years old, the only time in my whole life I was ever in a hospital.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm on 0 meds, none. And no, I don't take vitamin and mineral supplements either. That's what I eat every day. It comes from what I eat every day. But no meds, and by golly, something will happen. I'll be in the hospital tomorrow. But no, I have not, and I've had 0 surgeries, no surgeries, none of that kind of stuff. Okay, so to this point in my life, okay, I'm 63 years old. So we do try to practice what we preach in terms of how we eat and all of that. But, it's working so far. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah.
So I'm not seeing you. Okay. Test. Okay. I've not seen you use any in your marketing of the whole medical thing, you know, pay me now, pay me later. If you get sick, you got a whole bunch of drugs you're gonna have to take and procedures you're gonna have to get, but if you eat healthy, you don't have that issue. I don't,
Oh, we write articles about that.
You do,
We
okay.
talk, we do webinars about that. We talk one-on-one to our customers about that. Absolutely, we use it. Yep.
So I know this is kind of a touchy topic, but when you're selling health food, how important do you think it is to actually be a healthy individual, not be 100, 200 pounds overweight, selling people grass-fed beef?
It's important, sir. It's important. Yeah. That's a good question.
Have you seen an increased demand in value-added things like jerkies, salamis, these types of things?
Yes, and I'm actually going to be talking about that, Ethan, this afternoon in that session. But the short answer is absolutely. And we have a whole array of value-added products that I'll be sharing with you this afternoon that are just, I mean, it flies off. It's hard for us to keep inventory in stock on a lot of those items. Yeah.
So, you know those printed materials that you were talking about? I've got a couple
Yes.
questions. So, how are you structured? Is it an LLC structure, organizational structure?
Yes, so that's a really good question, and so do make sure that your food sales are under a different LLC than the farm, okay? So all of our food sales are not under that, they're not sold under the farm LLC, they're sold under the food company LLC. And that's critically important, because if there ever is any liability, you only want it to be on the food company and not the food and the farm and whatever else, right? So
Right.
separate, always have a separate LLC for when you're selling food.
Okay. Now, regarding the printed material,
Yeah.
so if you do make any claims, back to the question about health, is there any review required on your printed material
Okay.
when you make claims?
Okay.
And who would review?
Yep. So, and I'm going to talk a lot more about that this afternoon in USDA regs under FSIS and all of that. So I think I'll address that in this afternoon's session, but if I don't address it fully for you, you ask that question again. Yes, sir.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know if there has been any thought or effort put in place to possibly have, per se, a grocery store that sells only these types of products instead of people going to just a farmer's market if the farmer's market's open or something like that?
So there was one that said that they were doing that, and that's called Whole Foods Market, and that's not the case. There are some, I guess, what would be called health food stores, that are doing that. But even the majority of what's called health food stores are offering a lot of stuff that's not. But even Whole Foods, Whole Foods is far, far removed from selling. 90% of what they sell is the same old that you can buy in any other grocery store, to be honest with you. Yeah.
But there are online.
There's online companies, that's right. There's online companies that you can reliably order from. Absolutely. Yeah. But as far as brick and mortar, not very many. Yeah.
All right, let's take a break, 10 minutes, and come back in here. And Dr. Allen, thank you very much.
Hey.